Hey y'all, it's Virginia Patriot. I know I haven't really posted anything recent. According to the headline on this and the date and the Virginian pilot, it's the 8th when this paper was done. Again, I don't really have a schedule as far as when I put videos out because I work full time, but on top of that, I don't necessarily have the means to just whip out a video in my house and have it quiet and everything. Got a dog and other stuff going on in the house. But the reason why I'm doing this video now is I want to put it out because the elections are coming up, and I thought it was rather fitting and interesting how the Virginian pilots, which is where my name comes from, because I spoofed the paper's title. Instead of the pilot, I put Patriot, because I'm tired of the corruption, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are. But anyways, in the paper, it talks about Bruce Thompson, or BT as people refer to him on social media. But anyways, he's a big mogul around this area, and he runs the city, well, along with a handful of other very wealthy people. But he's just one of them. But anyways, in this section here, as far as in the paper, he sells 2 of the hotels at the oceanfront and buys another. So it's pretty crazy. These are what we're facing. And I know I don't really have anything highlighted on the front because it's not really hard hitting. And it's not until you get into page 4. That's where it gets very interesting. Let me see if I can fold this with one hand. But anyways, all this stuff that's highlighted is just very eye-opening. And this right here is Bruce Thompson. This is the schmuck that's buying up things, and there's so much crony capitalism within city council. It's ridiculous. These people do favors for one another within the wealthy elite, and by giving them money for their campaigns, they expect excuse me. They expect favors in return for their donations to their campaigns. Don't believe me? So this is one of his comments. Clearly, if the election brings out a change in leadership, me and most other developers will not be interested in investing in the city. Which is, well, if we don't get our way, we're going to pack our bags. And that's just, one of the comments that he made. I know it's not highlighted there, but I have it highlighted here. And so that's in a text, as you can see. But one of the other things is, he said he would consider selling if the city council decides to adopt fiscal policy that's supported by members Bobby Dyer, Jessica Abbott, and John Moss. So in other words, if they start being fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' money, because it is stolen money. Now I understand that there's some things that people are like, oh, but what about the trash and things like that? Well, fine. You want to go that route? Okay, great. But that is the people's money that is being taken out of their paychecks. And we have to be tightening our budgets all the time because things keep getting more and more costly. So yeah, it's right there, the very first one. If we don't get our way, then he's going to consider, along with others, are going to consider selling property. But in that statement there, it's more pointed at him. So then it goes down to the statement that I read here, and then it goes into earlier this year, the council decided to take $1.4 million in tax dollars and then set it aside for tourism to buy garbage trucks. Well, if that's what the city needs, because our needs are not being met or are being shortened up to end up presenting a problem, well, we need to do that. But here he says that it's angering the hotel and restaurant industries. Well, boo-hoo, because the city's needs come first. That is the people's money, and yet he's treating our money as if it's his money. Well, if I don't get my way, then, well, you're making it hard for us to do anything. Well, if you don't take care of your needs first, and there's no way you can bring in other businesses in the area. So it goes on to say, I'm concerned for the future of the city, in particular the resort area. The robbing of funds specifically earmarked for resort infrastructure is extremely concerning and a sign of things to come. And that's what he wrote. And I don't understand how people cannot get angered over it, especially with the elite. But then again, that's elite. They get all the money, don't have to worry about it because it's not theirs. So it goes on to say that Gold Key PHR will sit on the sidelines and wait and see what this election brings for investing another dime in the resort area. So again, he's holding money over the city to say, hey, if you don't do as I say, well, I'm packing my bags up and my businesses too. But Thompson hasn't been sitting on the sidelines. In March, he reopened the Cavalier Hotel, which he said he wasn't going to go back to City Council and ask for more money. And what does he do? He goes right back and asks for more money. And earlier this year, the construction began on Gold Key's $125 million Marriott next to the Cavalier Beach Club on the ocean front. So he's not sitting on line. He's crying wolf. That is what that's about. If you don't do as I say, then, I'm going to pack my bags. And don't you dare rock that boat. You rock that boat, again, my money's going away. So in 2012, the city's development authority told Thompson that the land for the hotel and the park for, I believe it was the Hilton Hotel, and how there's a little park next to it. I believe that's the property that's being mentioned. But anyways, so the development authority sold Bruce Thompson, the land for the hotel and the park for $3.7 million, according to pilot reports. Back then, the properties were worth $11.6 million. So we're being shortchanged almost $8 million. $8 million that we're losing because the development authority basically says, oh, well, we're buddy. We'll give you a great deal on that piece of property. And so down here, Patty Phillips, who was the finance director, even said that the Hilton project has done a lot of good for the result, and said she hoped Thompson and his partners got a good price for it. So again, this is all coming out, and I don't know why the pilot is dragging their feet on critical information, because this stuff has been going on for decades, long before we have the city council that we have now. But it's like, why all of a sudden that they're turning on each other, and on top of that, the pilot is finally reporting on stuff like this. I think, me personally, that it is their way of saving face, so that they could say, see, we're really an independent news agency. So that's all I have for now. It's getting a little loud in here. Hopefully you guys can hear me. But yeah, this is the crap that we're facing. And we need to start getting rid of all these people that are connected with the elite. Kwasny, she's on the development authority, who's trying to run on city council. You also have Dee Oliver, who's also on the development authority, or she might be on the planning board. But you also had a cousin of hers, Linwood Branch. He was going to run for city council, but he decided not to, and he went back to his position on the board. But I think it's because if Dee Oliver gets in, well, there's another conflict of interest, just like Jim Wood and his mama. Jim Wood's mama is on the development authority. In fact, she's the chairman of that board. So, everybody's got their hands in everything, and it's time we got this house cleaned up and all these crooks thrown out. So I pretty much made the point. I wasn't trying to make it about 10 minutes, but it is. So share, subscribe, definitely pass it around, comment on it, share it on our social media too. So this is Virginian Patriot signing out.